Hello and welcome to Walk the Talk. I am Shekhar Gupta in Pune. In fact, at the Bajaj family's modest home in Pune. And this is the new series of Walk the Talk. A new series is beginning and we need to unleash the biggest stars I have access to. To give it a head start. Rahul Bajaj, I don't know a bigger star than you.
Oh, Shekhar, I mean, सुबह से कोई मिला नहीं. You found nobody else to pull someone's leg than me?
10 साल से, last time we had a conversation was 2005.
Yeah, about 9-10 years ago.
Yes, on Walk the Talk. So that's long enough. 10 साल से we haven't had a conversation. What better way to shore up?
Nice to be on the Walk the Talk again.
Thank you, sir. And what better way to give a new series a head start than to bring in Rahul Bajaj early enough?
That's not for me to say.
Because no viewer can go away when Rahul Bajaj starts talking. So I should shut up and let you talk.
Hi. Boliye.
It's a very different India from what we talked about then.
We have to see whether it's a different India. It's a very different government. And it's a very different Prime Minister. That's for sure. It's a different cabinet, etc., etc. Some weaknesses and many strengths. And the hope and the aspirations of all Indians is that this, well, government is the means, but this Prime Minister will get us a different India, whether it's Make in India, whether it's Prosperous India, whether it's a Swachh Bharat, whatever it may be, but Prosperous Bharat, this is what Indians want.
So, Rahul, you've known every Prime Minister of India. If you didn't know Mr. Gowda, we'll let that pass. Don't worry.
I met him in 7 Racecourse Road.
Was he awake or asleep when you met him?
You see, he did come as a chief guest to the annual Jamnalal Bajaj Awards function, which has been, the chief guest has been almost every Prime Minister and President of India. And his eyes were closed. So I was sitting next to him, so I nudged him. I said, Gowda Sahab. He said, no, I'm thinking.
See, when he was Prime Minister, we had a photographer, Praveen Jain, who would catch him sleeping every day. So every day his picture would appear on page 1 sleeping. So one day CM Ibrahim, who was his INB minister, called me home for coffee. And he said, क्यों उसके पीछे पड़े हो? वो सुबह से रात तक Prime Minister of India. रात को 10 बजे से 12 बजे तक Chief Minister of Karnataka. 12 से 2 बजे तक District Magistrate of Hassan. 2 बजे से
5 तक सोता है 3 घंटे.
Till 3 o'clock he runs his constituency, he said. Then he sleeps for 2 hours and does his puja. And back to being Prime Minister of India. I'm not quite sure he worked that hard, but
Or how effectively and efficiently.
Right.
So spend so many hours.
So leave Gowda out. Leave out sort of occasional or accidental Prime Ministers. Compare Modi with the rest of them. I'm not saying say better or worse. Just how is he different from the rest of them? Nobody better than you.
After saying comparisons are odious.
No, they are not odious. Comparisons are very important.
No, I didn't say don't do that, but can be odious. Let me put it my way of thinking. I mean, you or others may not agree with it. First of all...
That's normal between you and me.
Yeah, absolutely. And exactly normal. So, first of all, you can't compare, or I can't compare with Modi ji because Narendra Bhai has been Prime Minister less than 6 months.
Right.
And others I'm going to name have been for 5 years or more.
Right.
So, on the one hand, he's not had enough time. On the other hand, it would be something like giving Obama the Nobel Prize when he had not yet completed 1 year.
Right.
I was one of those who said, how does he deserve it?
Because he made good speeches.
Exactly. So, I don't think that the Nobel Prize is
for speech making.
For being an outstanding orator, and neither do we need a Prime Minister good for India who's only a great orator, which again our present Prime Minister is. But he gives us lots of hopes and aspirations that one can see. The other two I would name, and I was too young at that time, so I met him, I knew him because the family connections were there. My name Rahul has been given to me by Jawaharlal. But that's another story. So he died in '64 when I was studying in the US. So I didn't know him all that well.
But how did that happen? How did he come to name you?
It's a long story, Gandhiji was brought to Sevagram in Wardha, which was our property by Jamnalalji, my grandfather from Sabarmati. From South Africa, he had come and settled down in Sabarmati.
Right.
Though I say so, but Jamnalalji was not, he was almost like a saint.
Absolutely, yes.
And he was considered by Gandhi as his fifth son. So because of that, if we built two buildings.
I mean, many of the saintly qualities have travelled to you, obviously.
I mean, don't make such a joke. It's such a joke, Shekhar. I can't even say here that I'm grateful because
you're a
so
serious
sarcastic,
person.
so cynical. So this nobody. You ask my family, they will not accept. Forget everybody else.
Who wants the family to accept? Your friends accept.
So everybody close. Incidentally, Jamnalalji's year of birth was 1889.
The same as Nehru.
They were cute, but that was incidental. Many people didn't even know that.
Right.
They were considered brothers, very close. He was very fond of my mother, her name was Savitri. And I was born in June 38, and Rajiv was not born.
Right.
सभी आते थे वर्धा, all the Congress working committee meetings, everything because of Gandhi used to take place there. We have a room on the first floor of what is called Bajaj Badi, which was reserved for Jawaharlal ji.
Right.
It was known as his room, Jawaharlal's room. She came to meet my mother. And बड़ों को पूछते थे उस वक्त, आजकल तो बड़ों को नहीं पूछा जाता है, तो बड़े लोग को बड़ों को पूछते थे, बड़े मतलब एज से बड़े, फैमिली में, सॉरी, कि मैं बच्चे का क्या नाम रखूं। अब ये देखिए बड़प्पन, आपने सवाल पूछा तो बता रहा हूँ नेहरू जी। What a chivalrous person or gentleman he was. We found out much later that, and I'll tell you how we found out, that he had reserved the name Rahul was his favorite name for his Indira Gandhi's first son.
I see.
But he loved maybe my mother as much as Indira. Without thinking, it seems, I was not there. I mean, he said, Rahul, matter over, ban gaya naam. कुछ 15-20 दिन बाद इंदिरा जी आई, I'm told. She came and saw my mother and said, Savitri, तुमने मेरी एक चीज चोरी की.
I see.
My mother didn't know. She said, Hindu. I'm told. She said, क्या मतलब हिंदू?
जी.
बोले राहुल नाम तो मेरे पहले लड़के के लिए था.
I see.
And then for whatever reason, she named her son Rajiv. Rajiv named his son Rahul.
And you named your son Rajiv. Oh, I see.
Which Sonia ji knows the story. I don't know who else knows the story, but Sonia ji knows this.
But now the whole country knows the story. See what I meant when I said that we need Rahul Bajaj to come in.
तुम्हारी TRP होगी क्या इतनी?
ये तो over the roof चली जाएगी.
तो coming back to Prime Ministers.
इतना बड़ा exclusive लिखना पड़ेगा उसके लिए. Breaking news exclusive.
Breaking news. So
coming back to Prime Minister.
Anyway, we can't take too long to time. I would say there were very, very different types of people. I would give maximum marks in totality. There are downsides and upsides to Indira ji and Vajpayee ji.
Yeah.
Vajpayee ji, I think most people accept and agree. The only other BJP Prime Minister or NDA Prime Minister, outstanding orator, great decent man, sober, not extreme Hindutva.
And very easy to trust.
Easy, trustworthy, right, etc. Indira ji created a very bad record for herself, according to me, by declaring the emergency, maybe on the influence of Sanjay or whatever.
Right.
I don't know the whole history. You would know it much better, Shekhar. But barring that thing, and with all linked with that, 69, 11.23 to remove the syndicate, retain.
अच्छा. 21 point.
तो
संजय गांधी का 5 सूत्री, 5 point.
बैंक नेशनलाइजेशन, कोल नेशनलाइजेशन, एटसेट्रा, गरीबी हटाओ. गरीबी तो हटी नहीं. Throughout their rule or even later.
आप बच गए, स्कूटर नेशनलाइजेशन नहीं हुआ. That also could have happened.
ना हमारा तो दूसरा था. हमारे को तो इमरजेंसी में संजय गांधी ने रेड किया ना. उसने हमको बुलाया था, मिलने नहीं गए. उसे बुलाया था, बोला वो भी ऑटोमोटिव, मैं भी ऑटोमोटिव, बुलाओ, हमारे फैमिली कनेक्शन हैं. मैं सोचा कि फ्रॉम व्हाट आई हर्ड कि कहीं कुछ गलत बोल देंगे तो मेरे से रहा नहीं जाएगा. मैं तो हाथ जोड़ के सबसे बात करता हूँ, पर आप भोए मेरे को दिखाएंगे तो मैं भी बोल दूंगा, मर जाऊंगा. तो गया नहीं, तो आई वाज रेडेड. कुछ हुआ नहीं. तो शाह कमीशन ने बड़ा जोरदार रिपोर्ट दिया. बट आप क्या बोले वो अभी उसके बारे में?
नहीं, आपने कहा कि फैमिली कनेक्शंस थे बहुत.
वो तो ठीक है, आपने बीच में कुछ बोला तो मैं बोला. एनीवे, सो तो फैमिली कनेक्शन दे नहीं, वी टॉकिंग
आप इंदिरा जी की बात कर रहे थे
तो इंदिरा जी
उन्होंने इमरजेंसी लगाई,
मेड इंडिया प्राउड
Right.
internationally. She became empress because of Bangladesh war and this and that. You know, everybody, including especially the economists, who's not favorably inclined that way to
Right.
India, on the cover. And even after emergency, आज तो 44 आए, 100 आए थे. North India you got wiped out, but South India you got 100 seats, and
Right.
still Indira Amma.
still Indira.
Indira Amma. And she made India proud. Whether it was Nixon or Kissinger,
And we were on Mr. Vajpayee, that he was very trusted.
trusted, and he maintained his NDA very well, and he ruled very well and did good things for India, I think, keeping in mind all the poverty and inequality and lack of infrastructure and all the things we suffer from.
But in terms of personality traits, where will you place Modi? 6 months, he's been in public life for a long
No,
time.
that
now.
has been 15 years.
Yes.
What do you mean by personality traits?
His style, his leadership personality, not personal, leadership.
Let me put it this way. Seeing the government of last 10 years, especially last 3 years, last 4 years, UPA 2, any decisive leader, the people love it. उस वक्त आप बोल दीजिए पैरालिसिस था, डिसीजन मेकिंग नहीं थी, स्कैम को छोड़ो,
हाँ, वो अलग बात है.
यहाँ तो साफ बोलते हैं, न खाऊंगा न खाने दूंगा.
Exactly,
I take it as personal.
Right.
Because देखिए इलेक्शन के लिए तो लगता है. Those kind of funds are not dropping from heaven.
Absolutely.
And they are not available by check.
Right.
I don't think BJP can show those kind of checks. So I mean, we are not talking of that. But the way he lives.
Only Bajaj pays by check to political
I pay
parties.
I can't say only. I pay by
You
check.
pay. Where do you place Manmohan Singh now? You've known him for a long time.
Yes, I've had the privilege of knowing Dr. Saab for 30 years, not intimately. I'm sure there are other industrialists, especially those who live in Delhi or nearby, who met him much more often and knew him much better. My frequency of meetings, apart from the Prime Minister's Council on Trade and Industry and on some occasions, because I never took an appointment from any minister in the last 10 years, leave alone the Prime Minister. I never went to meet anybody, except if I was called or there's a meeting. Naita, I never went to.
What went wrong with him?
This is a question, the answer to which for last 2, 3, 4 years people are discussing. Let me put it this way. There was a show on NDTV,
Yeah.
on which you come very often. And it is NDTV 24/7. Maybe it was shown on Profit also. It was about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. It was done in Mumbai in a school. Pranay Roy was the anchor, and 4 of us. Give the names. Ari Godrej, Rana Kapoor of
Yes Bank.
Yes Bank, उसको got Shell Chief,
Vikram Mehta, yes.
और मैं, truly.
Now the Brookings chief in India.
Brookings chairman in India. And Brookings team has been here, the 32 people. Another 2 days left in Jodhpur. It was economy. And हमारी आदत है, you know, people are in such channels, not everybody, I won't name some good friend. They're dying to come first, you know, when the Prime Minister is there, or something is there, or panel is there. हम हरदम बोल देते हैं, हमने बोल दिया उसको, मेरे को last, हर time, whenever you ask me last. I mean, if I have nothing to say, I won't say anything. What's the problem? What's the hurry? The son of a gun, and I'm saying it on record, my friend Pranay finished everything and suddenly asked a question. That was the last question. Should the Prime Minister resign? Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister. Now, without going into details and quoting what the 3 of them said, the other 3 colleagues of mine, all friends of mine,
Right.
said nothing. Dharam Sangha, coalition dharma, no, basically no.
Basically no.
Last mein hum aa gaye. It's on record.
Yeah.
Somebody told me it was seen or discussed or brought to the attention of the 7 Racecourse Road.
I see.
But I don't know that. Nobody told me. Anyway, I mean, 7 Racecourse Road didn't get in touch with me, thank God. So I said, Pranay, this googly, suddenly you've left talking of cricket as very often. I didn't say that, but my friend, I'm now saying my friend Shekhar Gupta brings in cricket half the time. It's not fair. And with this question, my friends were sitting there. Says, what answers have you got? Basically saying bullshit, no answers. What answers have you got? Okay, I'm taking the jump. I don't know what the words I use. And I said, if I were the Prime Minister, I would go with folding hands to Sonia ji. I said, Sonia ji, the country is losing its reputation. I believe the Congress party is losing its reputation. You are losing your reputation. Whatever little reputation I have, I'm losing that reputation. Whatever I am is because of you. I didn't add Narasimha Rao. Whatever I am, I'm because of you. I'm now a congressman. I've had 2 bypass surgeries. I'm going nowhere.
Right.
But please manage the politics and let me look after the government. And I stopped there.
Right.
Implying, if not,
Then let me go.
then I'm to resign.
Right.
I've said it on TV when he was the Prime Minister.
But Rahul, now that we know the Ra story, right? Rahul, Rajiv, Rahul story, right? It just reminds us that your family and the Gandhi family, and Congress, but also the Gandhi family have been very closely together over 3 generations, 4 generations.
Yeah, but that all finished after Jawaharlalji passed away in 64.
Right.
Why? Partly no fault of theirs. Because in 69, when in her own interest, Indiraji split the Congress, and my father was a 3-term member of Lok Sabha from my home constituency, Wardha.
Right.
Lok Sabha, Wardha.
Right.
He stayed put with Congo, with Morarji Desai.
Right.
And Indiraji got very angry. She said, how can Kamal and they were in Vile Parle in Bombay in a school together. In UK he was in Cambridge, she was in Oxford. I mean, they were also similar ages, I don't know. Right. I mean, you know the story of the name and all that.
Right.
So naturally she understood, but he had called me that time. Like, we can get into trouble. Should I resign as chairman of all the companies? No, the company can be nationalized. Banks are nationalized. The coal mines are nationalized. I don't, क्या बोल रहे हैं आप? होनी चाहिए nationalized. डर के काम करेंगे? जमुनालाल का ग्रैंडसन, कमलनाथ का लड़का क्या डर के काम करेंगे? हाथ जोड़ के बात करेंगे सब, पर डरेंगे नहीं किसी से.
So, Jamnalal's grandson, what is his advice now to this Mrs. Gandhi, to Sonia Gandhi? Does she have a future? Does her party have a future? Or what does she have to do to create a
सच
future?
बोलेंगे तो मैं बहुत ही अनपॉपुलर हो जाऊंगा.
तब सच नहीं बोले, तब झूठ नहीं बोले जब प्रधानमंत्री बैठे को बोल दिया, 69 में इंदिरा गांधी को बोल दिया, तो अब क्या डर है?
नहीं, एक तो fear नहीं, एक तो reservation है. I'm not in politics. I don't know all the details.
No, you are a wise man.
As a citizen of India, in the interest of the country, which needs 2 strong national parties.
Right.
I don't believe in one party. And these small parties are good. Regional parties, we can't do without them. After this election, we said regional parties are dying. I think neither statement is correct, whether it's an SP or a Mayawati or a DMK.
You never know, they can come back.
Mamta, they will remain, kam jada. But we need at least 2, because then too many becomes a problem.
2 national parties.
So one has become now BJP. We have to strengthen National Congress, Indian National Congress. That's my one presumption, and this is what my objective, not that I can do it. Now here I'm saying very controversial, maybe it's wrong. My son Rajiv, elder son Rajiv, is a little bit, not quite a bit friendly with Rahul. I can't call, for me he's like a nephew, he's not a friend or something. I think he's a great guy, he's a very straightforward, very nice, lovable guy. But I believe he should take leave from politics for at least 5 years, maybe forever. Maybe he'll come back.
Rahul Gandhi should take leave from politics for at least 5 years.
From the Congress party, which means politics.
Politics.
But I believe Sonia Gandhi should not. Because I'm one of those who finds that, okay, you can do everything, but the party will go asunder. Will it be Kamal Nath? Will it be Anand Sharma? Will it be Chidambaram? Who will be there? Will it be Janardhan Reddy? Which will be my friend Digvijay Singh? कौन क्या करेगा? उनसे election होके क्या चीज होगी? She should remain the president emeritus or president, as a matter of detail. She says Rahul is doing his own thing, whether in India or Europe or wherever it is. Yeah, he'll do very well. He'll be happy. He didn't seem all that happy to me all these years. हम भी राज्यसभा में थे, वो लोकसभा में थे. अभी भी कोशिश कर रहे हैं, कुछ हम सुन रहे हैं from the newspapers. But let him do his own thing. Because once you are there, this half thing, you are either pregnant or not pregnant. You can't be half pregnant.
Right.
And then nobody will give this to you. And then she should say, I'm here Congress party till you want me. The day you don't want me, I will leave. And I'm not going to interfere. I'm only going to give advice when the Congress working committee that you elect asks me to come and give advice.
So in a way,
and you elect yourself.
in a way, she becomes the holding company, and Congress party is run professionally.
Professional. That's what I think. Easier said than done.
Right.
But this is one way, which is slightly different from what my friend Digvijay Singh Ji apparently said 3 days or 4 days ago, that he should, Rajiv should become president and she should...
Rahul should become president.
Rahul should become president and she should become working something
So
or
you have a
America.
completely opposite view of
Almost,
Digvijay Singh.
yeah.
But you know, it's not so dangerous for you because you are not a member of the Congress party. Digvijay Singh is a member of the Congress party. He has nothing else to say but this.
Well, Digvijay Singh Ji हमारे मित्र हैं.
Yeah.
And so कुछ सोच के बोला होगा. He may have talked to Rahul or Sonia Ji and spoken. Fortunately, unfortunately, you have not given me a chance to talk to anybody, and I have spoken.
I think you've spoken and people will be listening. And frankly, if Mrs. Gandhi listens to you, she'll know that this is coming from a friend, from an old friend of the family.
And from the heart.
From the heart.
From the heart.
And from somebody who stole her husband's name.
Correct.
Absolutely. What could have been
That's
her
what the mother-in-law said.
Absolutely. So Rahul, I think she should send you a thank you card. She should listen to you and send you a thank you card. And I have to keep thanking you anyway for the poha and the air-fried samosas and everything else.
Thank you very much, Shekhar. Enjoyed the second version of Walk the Talk. So maybe after 10 years, we'll have another one.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much and all the best. All the best to you.
Thank you.